I am Darius, this is Sugarless Crystals, your sugar-free destination of YouTube. Enjoy me. I'm guilt-free. Indulge. What I'm introducing today is Sugarless Crystals, home of the double scoop keto cookie. McDonald's has his Big Mac, Burger King has his Whopper, and Sugarless Crystals has the double scoop keto cookie. I feel it's time to be known for something, and what else than a better way to introduce it is springtime, and so I'm gonna bring in a lemon keto cookie with a sort of cheesecake icing to go across the top of it. So let's dive into the recipe. Now, you wanna start out by making the icing first because simply you gotta put it back in the refrigerator to harden up a little bit, and I'll tell you why. So you're gonna start with 4 ounces of cream cheese, room temperature to be exact, 1 tablespoon of sour cream, 2 tablespoons of powdered sweetener. Now, you can choose to go with granulated, but it may end up being a little gritty. So powder is the route we go. And if you notice, I don't use stevia or anything like that in my icings. And I use very, very little erythritol or powdered sweetener. This is to prevent the aftertaste. Now, because it's so thin, sometimes I can't avoid it, but I can definitely avoid it by avoiding to use stevia, because stevia is going to come through and kind of blast through that a little hard. 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. This is the reason that we're making this first, because we need to actually put this back in the refrigerator because the lemon juice is going to make it really, really thin. The cream cheese is already at room temperature, so it makes it a little liquidy. But that's okay, we're going to fix it, put it back in the refrigerator, and move on to your next step, which will be the actual lemon keto cookies themselves. Starting out with this, we're going to use 1.5 cup of almond flour, blanched almond flour to be exact. And the difference, I have a video actually explaining what almond flour is, and I'll put that in the card and the description box below. But the blanched is simply almond flour milled finely without the husk on them. 2 tablespoons of coconut flour, 2 teaspoons of beef gelatin powder, which is this right here, and it's rather essential in every keto cookie that I make now. What it does is it brings a chewiness factor to it. It's not, I'm not gonna lie to you, it's not exactly chewy like you would remember, let's say a cookie made with brown sugar is, because simply none of these things in here caramelize. I'm trying. You're not gonna have something exactly the same, but it does bring a chewy aspect to it, which it's gonna be something that you'll grow in, something that you'll really like, because otherwise it'll be more of a cake texture. And if you like a cake texture, that's fine, but you have cakes and you have cookies, A 1/4 cup of granulated sweetener. Erythritol is a popular one, but my go-to is monk fruit. Monk fruit will be more on the expensive side, but if you're not making keto desserts all the time, it's fine. And monk fruit is slightly sweeter than erythritol, the granulated version. You still have to be careful with this because the granulated monk fruit has added erythritol in it, which if using too much, you can bring in that cooling, mini, funny mouth-filling effect to it. But no worry with these cookies because I'm using it in a very small dose. And 1/4 teaspoon of salt. We're gonna mix those together and we're gonna set it to the side because we need to make our wet ingredients. Now we have 10 tablespoons unsalted, softened butter. We're gonna blend that together, blend it down rather, and we're gonna add in 2 tablespoons of heavy cream, 1 teaspoon of stevia to really give it that extra sweetness. Some people say they hate stevia or whatever, which I understand, especially if you put it in your mouth by itself, which I would not advise to do because it's like super bitter. But when you're mixing inside dessert, it works very, very well. As I said earlier, I would never put it inside of a drink or something that's thin, because it will definitely show its butt off, and you don't really want that. 1 teaspoon of lemon extract. Now I added lemon juice in the cream cheese icing, but I did not add lemon juice inside of baked dessert. Now, lemon juice can be added inside things like cheesecakes, but you don't want to add lemon juice inside of baked desserts because instead of bringing a lemon aspect, it'll bring more so of a bitterness sort of. Like it's not really sour. It's hard to explain, but it's not gonna bring like a lemon flavor. To really pump up a lemon flavor, the best thing to do is actually get maybe like a granulated lemon peelings or something, or either just zest the lemon and use those oils and blend it into your sweetener, or blend it into like your butter or whatever. That'll actually help a lot. help a whole lot. For a small recipe like this, if you wanted to try that, I wouldn't recommend you zesting more than, let's say, a half of a lemon. Oh, and I almost forgot, 1 egg. Add your egg in there last. Since we're going with softened butter, I add my egg last because if not, it'll kind of like, it'll take away from the blending of the flours and the butter together. And the whole reason I'm using softened butter is to create a softer cookie. Now, sometimes it's gonna end up hardening it up anyway. But if you use melted butter, it'll end up more cake-like because the butter is already baked down. When you use softened butter, the butter has to melt first. But in the meantime of the butter melting, the flours and the egg are already coming together, so it just works better, I guess. There's an explanation, but I kind of went blank for a second. Here's the part to consider these Sugarless Crystals double scoop keto cookies. They're actually scooped twice inside of the pan. You simply add 1 scoop and then scoop on top of it after that for a double scoop. But what'll happen is while they're baking, they'll bake down and you'll end up with a semi-flat cookie. They may still have like the little bubble at the top a little bit, but that's what makes them unique. That's what makes them Sugarless Crystal style. And at the end of the day, regardless of whether you think they're cute, whether you think you're ugly, they're gonna be delicious. And they'll have like a sort of thickness to them. I actually changed my recipe up for my red velvet and my peanut butter keto cookies, which my peanut butter keto cookies are very, very popular. I'll actually stick those in the bottom for you as well, if you have not seen them yet. But I stopped using xanthan gum like that in my baked desserts. So that's how I end up being here. Plus I wanted a flatter cookie. And I'll actually do a video later on about that as far as how to achieve different textures with your keto cookies. So after the cookies are done, we're gonna take it and we're gonna spread the icing across the top. Now, if you're somebody who just wants to cut back on calories, or you just don't like the icing, you can option to not use the icing at all. And you can just have the cookie by itself. With the lemon extract, you get a great lemon flavor, but with the icing, you get more of that lemon juice, that lemon sourness. The icing adds that extra kick to it. And with it being cream cheese, you get a little bit of a lemon cream cheese flavor at the same time. Cheesecake flavor at the same time. Unless you're taking right out of the refrigerator, that's still gonna be, they're gonna have like a chewy texture to them. But of course, as you see, I'm holding it in my hand just fine without it falling apart. The lemon cookie itself, it has a great lemon flavor to it. But the reason I wanted to add the lemon juice and the cream cheese icing was because if not, the lemon extract could give you almost an artificial cookie flavor, and not knocking fat snacks at all. But if you ever had that, you can taste like the artificial cookie flavor into it. But you don't get that because the cream cheese icing has actual lemon juice in it that's able to stand out and work together with the extract. So it doesn't taste artificial at all. But if you're one of those who wants to opt out not using the cream cheese icing, it may taste a little artificial to you, but it shouldn't be bad at all, to be honest. It's only 1 teaspoon, so it's not much at all. It's just I like a nice little hint of lemon to it, and with lemon being a strong flavor as it is, you won't miss it at all. But for that extra pack of lemon, put the icing on it. And you can put just a little bit. I'll make sure I put all the macros below in the blog post for you, and you will get a total of 14 cookies out of these. That's gonna be it for today. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. I do all types of keto dessert tips and keto dessert recipes, not to mention I review other people's recipes as well. I am Darius, this is Sugarless Crystals, your sugar-free destination of YouTube. And I'm not a chef. No. I'm an entertainer. Bye.